A statement on the status of the roads in Northwestern Province following a directive by Madam Speaker arising from a matter of urgent public importance raised by Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central. On Friday, 9th June 2023, the Minister briefed the House on the measures being taken to improve the status of roads in the province.
And during that ministerial statement, we did see quite a number of members of parliament posing questions, seeking clarity from the minister, and the House proceeded to consider questions for oral answer, numbers 228 to 289, Understanding Order 74.
Kamfinsa Member of Parliament Mr. Kangombe did move a motion that the House urges the government to actualize the provision of health services under the National Health Insurance Scheme to the poor and vulnerable, and this motion was seconded by Nkana MP Mr. Mpundu.
The House did also consider a report from the chairperson of the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs that this House do adopt the report of the Committee on National Foreign Affairs on the review of the administration and operations of the Zambia Police Service for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, and this document was laid on the table of the House on Friday, 9th June 2023, and it was the chairperson, that's Brigadier General Sitwala, retired. And the motion was adopted.
And Brigadier General Sitwala also moved the reports of the Zambian delegation to the 13th ordinary session of the plenary session of the Forum on Parliaments of the Member States of the International Conference on the Great Lakes region, and debate on this motion stands adjourned. And the House adjourned yesterday at 19:10, 11 rather. Just now we have a look at today's business.
Right, let's quickly look at today's business, the business that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House, Thursday, 15th June 2023. And we do have one question for oral answer, and this is question 290. And this one is Understanding Order 76. It's coming from Mr. Kangombe, who is Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, directing his question to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. In A, the member would like to find out whether the government is aware that there has been a critical shortage of water in the last 1 month in the following townships in Kamfinsa parliamentary constituency, and these are Ndeke Village, Changa, and Mulenga compound. And the member also would like to find out, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to resolve the problem and prevent waterborne diseases.
After consideration of that question for oral answer, Understanding Order number 76, we do expect a motion to be moved by Engineer Mabenga, who's the chairperson of the Committee on Media, Information and Communication, that this House to adopt the report of the Committee on Media, Information and Communication Technologies on the role of the Zambia Information and Communication Technology Authority in the fight against cyber crimes for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 13th June 2023.
Anytime from now, I'll be able to see the Honorable Speaker's procession making way that will signify the commencement of today's business. But let's also look at other reports. We do have a report of Committee on Agriculture, Lands and Natural Resources. There will be resumption of debate, and indeed the House also consider the report that was considered yesterday, the 14th. For now, we cross over to the floor of the House for the commencement of today's business.
Honorable Members of Parliament, Madam Speaker.
And sing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We want freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. green and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, O one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, I have two announcements to make and one ruling. The first announcement is to the effect that although the Honorable Lufuma is not in the House, I will make this announcement in his absence. Honorable members, I've received communication to the effect that in the absence of Her Honor the Vice President, who is attending to other government business, the Honorable Minister of Defense, Honorable Ambrose L. Lufuma, MP, has been appointed acting leader of government business in the House from today, 15th June 2023, until further notice. The second announcement is that, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Junior Parliament Speaker Jubilee Center in Ndola District. May the members from the school and teachers stand up. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome you, our visitors in our midst. You may take your seats. Thank you. Honorable members, this is the ruling on a point of order raised on Wednesday, 14th June 2023 by Mr. M. Kafwaya, Member of Parliament for Lunte constituency, against the Honorable C. Milupi, Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, for allegedly not laying the deposit slip for the 65 million seized from Ms. Margaret Chisela Musonda by the Anti-Corruption Commission on the table of the House. Honorable members, the House will recall that on Wednesday, 14th June 2023, when the House was considering the report of the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs on the review of the administration and operations of the Zambia Police Service, presented by Brigadier General M.S. Sitwala, Member of Parliament for Kaoma, and Chairperson of the committee, Mr. M. Kafwaya, Member of Parliament for Lunte constituency, raised a point of order. In his point of order, Mr. M. Kafwaya, MP, asked whether the acting Minister of Finance and National Planning was in order to mislead the House by purporting to have brought a deposit slip for 65 million kwacha seized by the Anti-Corruption Commission, when in fact not. Honorable members, in her response, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker reserved her ruling in order to enable her examine the documents laid on the table of the House and render a measured ruling. I have since studied the matter and I will now render my ruling. Honorable members, the background of this matter is that on 7th June 2023, Mr. S. Kampiongo, Member of Parliament for Shiwangandu constituency, raised a matter of urgent public importance on the 65 million kwacha that was seized by the Anti-Corruption Commission from Margaret Chisela Musonda, alias Faith Musonda, and how the forfeited funds were disbursed. I then directed the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning to render a ministerial statement on the matter on Tuesday, 13th June 2023. Honorable C. Milupi, MP, the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, rendered a ministerial statement on the matter. In seeking clarification on the ministerial statement, Mr. Munia Zulu, Member of Parliament for Lumezi constituency, asked the Minister to present to the House the deposit slip issued in respect of the funds. In that regard, I directed Honorable Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning to bring proof of the deposit. Honorable members, on 14th June 2023, the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning tabled a set of documents before the House in line with my directive. Subsequently, Mr. M. Kafwaya, MP, raised a point of order on whether the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning was in order to mislead the House by purporting to have brought a deposit slip for the 65 million kwacha seized by the Anti-Corruption Commission, when it was not among the documents he had laid on the table of the House. Honorable members, I have noticed that this matter has continued to attract a lot of interest, both in the House and at the nation at large. Therefore, in order for it to be addressed conclusively, I hereby direct the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning to issue a detailed statement clarifying the matter on Wednesday, 21st June 2023. I thank you. Order, honorable members. I think we all have to learn to read the documents properly. The documents, not the ruling. Yeah, when we read the documents, it will be very clear. Yes, so we wait for the minister. I don't want to preempt his statement. Question for oral answer, understanding order 76. Honorable members who have indicated, I had seen no indication at the time that I proceeded. So I think you indicated a bit late. I'm already on item number 6. Question for oral answer, understanding order 76. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, I have the privilege to ask question number 290. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister, is it? The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the question is to ask the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, A, whether the government is aware that there has been a critical shortage of water in the last 1 month in the following townships in Kamfisa parliamentary constituency. Number 1, Ndeke; 2, Ndeke village; 3, Changa, and 4, Mulenga. B, if so, what measures are being taken to resolve the problem and prevent waterborne diseases? Madam Speaker, in response to the question asked by Honorable Kangombe of Kamfisa, I wish to inform the House that government is aware that there has been a shortage of water in Ndeke village, Changa, and Mulenga areas of Kamfisa parliamentary constituency in the last 1 month. B, Madam Speaker, the following measures are being undertaken to address the water shortage to prevent waterborne diseases. Number 1, overhauling of dilapidated water supply networks, repairing and commissioning of 3 water pumps at Tenkana East Water Treatment Plant. Number 3, increasing storage capacity at Ndeke Distribution Center under the Nkana Water Supply Sanitation Project Phase 2. In addition, Madam Speaker, as an immediate measure, 3 water bowsers have been made available to areas with low supply hours to supplement the service and avert the risk of waterborne diseases. Madam Speaker, you recall that this question was asked again, and the Minister, Substantive Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, gave a ministerial statement here. So I've therefore been availed with additional notes for better understanding and maybe reduce the questions which may come. Madam Speaker, government mobilized funding amounting to $200 million for the implementation of the Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation Project Phase 2. The project involved the rehabilitation and expansion of the water supply and sanitation infrastructure in Kitwe, Karulusha, and Chambeshi. However, the project was suspended in 2020 due to non-servicing of the financing agreement and outstanding interim payment certificates amounting to $15 million. The Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation Project Phase 2 was rescoped to works amounting to $60 million and prioritized for completion. The Ministry of Finance and National Planning has approved the rescoped works, and the addendum has since been approved for the extension of the project end date, payment of works in Zambian kwacha equivalent, and amendments of works into rescoped works. Madam Speaker, further, government has since released a sum of $5 million as an advance payment on the rescoped works, and the contractor is now on site. Once completed, this project will benefit about 850,000 in project areas which include Kitwe, Karulusha, and Chambeshi. The overall progress of works currently stands at 44%. The implementation of the project is expected to be completed by 25th May 2026. Other measures, Madam Speaker, which have already been done are that a new water pump at a raw intake was installed and commissioned in mid-July 2022 and is in good working condition. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Madam Speaker, allow me to put it on record that I'm disappointed with the answers that have been provided. And the reason I'm disappointed, Madam Speaker, as I ask my follow-up question, is that the answers that have been provided are referring to a capital project that will see completion in 2026. My question, Madam Speaker, which arose from an urgent matter which I raised this week, Madam Speaker, relates to the water crisis in the constituency. A crisis, Madam Speaker, refers to the lack of water. To find out from the minister who is acting, and I was hoping that the substantive minister would have responded, because clearly the acting minister is not aware of the problem. My follow-up question, Madam Speaker, the first one of the two. When will water be restored to our residents in Kamfinsa constituency?
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, thank the honorable member for that follow-up question. And maybe just to educate him that as the UPND government, we work as one unit. Where I am right now, I'm very fully informed and briefed. And this is a subject for which I'm very competent. Further, indeed, it's a misconception to say, yes, indeed, this is a capital project. This is indeed a 3-year project, which will be commissioned as and when certain works are completed. Further, I said and I indicated, maybe, Madam Speaker, this will be very, very important. I'm a member of a ministerial committee tasked to resolve these issues, chaired by my colleague, the Minister of Water and Sanitation. And I'm glad to inform you that the Cabinet approved actually emergency funding to do certain remedial works in that area. That was done, and I can say with confidence that even if the situation may not be as it should be, there was an improvement. I also would like to say to you, Madam Speaker, that this is a legacy problem. That supply network is about 50 years old, and in the last 3-4 years, there was very little funding going to ensuring that our people are catered for. Actually, there was a project funded, and our friends failed to pay for that funding, leading to suspension of the project.
Order, order. Honorable members, please, if you debate while seated, you'll be shown the door.
So, he's debating behind. I'm trying to educate him. He's not as a senior engineer.
Order, honorable members, listen to the answers. How can you ask follow-up questions if you are not listening?
So it's not about substantive means, it's about knowing the subject. So, junior engineer, listen to me carefully. One thing I want to mention, Madam Speaker, is I sympathize with the Member of Parliament. Indeed, our people in that area are suffering. Indeed, the water network in that area is highly dilapidated. I want to assure him, maybe this is a good news to him. I want to assure you, member, that government is doing everything possible to ensure that our people in Kamfinsa constituency and Ron are very well looked after. Already, as I'm saying, and already Minister of Finance, Honorable Msukutu, has set aside the full extent of the provisions to ensure that that project does not prolong any further. So I can assure you, sir, Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, that government, this caring government, will do everything possible to cater for its people. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Petauke Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the good people of Petauke this opportunity to ask a follow-up question on the Minister of, Acting Minister of Water. Minister of Water, you are saying that you have provided the water bowser to cushion the challenge of water in Ndeke and Changachanga, and the MP here is saying there is nothing like that. Are you thinking of yourself traveling together with the MP to go and put heads together to give hope to the people of Changachanga and Ndeke, because water is life? Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
May I thank the Member of Parliament, J.J. Banda, for very mature questions, not a matter of public urgent importance. Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Kanfisa did not say there are no water bowsers. There are 3 water bowsers, and I'm sure he agrees with me. His point of contention is that the measures currently may not be enough. I think that's his major contention. And what we are basically saying is that in the immediate term, just this morning when I was informed about this task, I also called Kana Water, who have promised to ensure that for the other areas which are experiencing long hours of water shortages are also catered for. We are doing everything possible within the means to ensure that our people are catered for. So as to when we can go with the MP, indeed, this government is ready to do that anytime. We will ensure that we run a very transparent government, a government which cares for the people, and a government which respects the representatives of the people in that area. So, Honorable Member of Parliament, I'm ready, even if I'm acting, to go with you. I thank you, sir.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nkana.
Madam Speaker, I sympathize with my colleague, Honorable Kangombe. The problem of water and sanitation in Kitwe is extremely dire. This Monday, Madam Speaker, I had a meeting with Nkana Water. The challenge, Madam Speaker, is that Nkana Water started a program which was called the Nkana Water Supply and Sanitation, which was supposed to cost $200 million. This program, Madam Speaker, or a project, would have at least addressed to some extent this problem we have in Kitwe. The challenge we have now is that this program has been scaled down to $59 million. The specific areas, like the ones he is lamenting about, will not be addressed, Speaker. My interventions, or the question I was asking in Kana Water, can't we get to the specifics? If Ndeke Changa Changa has got an issue, can't we get into Ndeke Changa Changa and address that problem? My question, Madam Speaker, is this. Kwacha had a problem of sanitation. Government quickly went in, looked for emergency funds, and as we speak, they are addressing that problem of sanitation in Kwacha. Why can't we tackle this problem in the similar manner, Madam Speaker, such that the people in Kamfinsa, in Ndeke, could have emergency funds to address that particular problem? The same is for people in Buchi and Mindolo. Can't we look for emergency funds to address those specific problems, Madam Speaker, as opposed to massaging this problem?
The Honorable Acting Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you and thank the member. And thank the Member of Parliament for that very, very important question. And again, I think I've been very well schooled in what's happening there. There's a $200 million indeed project which was signed, and that is a project actually which I mentioned earlier that somehow money was dollars. The beauty of the scaling up is that it was done technically. The critical elements which will ensure that we reduce the water shortages in that area are still there. Remember that this $200 million was increased, I think, about 10 years. So what we've done now, I'm speaking with authority, what has been done now is to ensure that the immediate funding for the longer term, 5, 6, 7 years, will come. We will ensure that we budget for it. Right now, as I'm speaking with yourselves, and since there is a lot of interest, I will be talking to my colleague, the Minister of the Substantive Minister, is that I think we need to sit down with the Member of Parliament and everybody concerned so that we run them through what is very valid. Madam Speaker, the other issue center, the pumps there, the old pipes, all of that is in the scope for the $60 million. We hope, actually, maybe this is also important for the Member of Parliament, that in the next 2 months, when the pumps are installed, we expect that the shortages there will reduce. Indeed, the long-term solution is to ensure that a comprehensive project is put in place. And we can only assure our people in Nkana, Kamfinsa, that this will be done. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. All the honorable members, the question is to Kamfinsa constituency. So if you want to bring in other constituents to put in questions.
Madam Speaker, I asked a follow-up question.